Okay, 5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
Yay!
Hello and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a podcast where we read about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how it would be in our cloak over. Sorry, it's just every time you wave, I'm like, oh, I should wave back. And then, it's just the two of us here. So my name is Fiona, and with me, as always, for Dragon's Duel is Hamilton. Hamilton,
Hello.
how are you, my friend?
I'm
Hello.
good, thank you. I'm fine. I mean, we just spoke 30 minutes ago, but yes, since then I've ate, so I feel a lot better.
Yes,
Good,
yeah.
yes.
I'm still. For those people who watched last week, I'm still eating my. I've eaten my crumpet, but my tangerine is still here, off to one side. So maybe I'll munch on that in a bit. So. Only at home does this happen. You know when it's we're working from home, pandemic. You have kids coming in, you have dogs.
Yeah.
I have my mother giving me my lunch. So.
Which is so sweet. I love it.
Oh no.
I love it. I had to cook my own like a loser.
Oh no! Well, so it doesn't happen that often, so don't worry. Usually I just be eating like chocolate or something in the meantime. So.
To be honest, I'm going to pick up some chocolate on my way home because I'm an adult and I can do what I like.
I'm sure I've told you this story before, but one of the best sort of realizations I had was that I was at university. It was like really early in the morning, Saturday morning. I was going somewhere like over to a friend's house or something, walking down the high street, and there was a little kid. Like crying, like tugging her mum's skirt, but why? And the mum said, "Because you just don't eat ice cream for breakfast." And I just went, oh,
I can eat
but
ice
I
cream.
could.
Yes.
Yeah. So I ran and got ice cream for breakfast.
There is that realization is one of the best moments in life, isn't it? When you're like, I can do what I want right now. Like I can eat pizza with ice cream on top right now, and I will, and it's great, and it is such a good. And then you realise you have to be self-controlling. Oh, so boring.
But in that between times, it's a joyous occasion.
It is
almost like a domain of delight, which
is funny enough. There's a great segue.
That is a segue. Yes. So today's podcast episode, today's topic, we are looking at Domains of Delight, which is an extra life document that was made or published, by Wizards of the Coast very recently, obviously in the aftermath of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It as a sort of supplement, essentially. So similar to how we have the Tortle package for the Tombs of Annihilation, this is something very, very similar. So we thought we'd check it out because in the back of it, we have how do you create your own Domain of Delight. So I was like, let's have a go. We've not done a little makey one for a little while, so I thought, why not? Let's make our own Domains of Delight. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Hamilton, what was your initial impressions of this whole document? Obviously we are going to look mostly at creating stuff, but was there anything that sort of stood out to you in general from this document? I mean,
there's a lot of good Fey stuff. If you want more Fey stuff, there's a lot more there. There's a lot of, if you're looking for your Wild Beyond Witchlight to go beyond the realms of the Feywild, is a good document for that, to be fair. I'd say if you want to, and the Feywild Companion that we did had its own Domain of Delight, and I think I thought it's great. It gives you more lore on the Feywild as a general. It's like it's your campaign guide to the Feywild a little bit more than anything else, and more of a homebrew DM's book, I'd say, than a player's book. Yeah. And it's great, really. Again, great art, great lore, great story, everything.
Great. Yeah, I think just to go on to that, I think if you haven't got Wild Beyond the Witchlight, get this instead, because obviously Wild Beyond the Witchlight is obviously a full adventure, has a whole thing like this, but I think this just gives you the enough to be like, oh, that's interesting. And of course, like we said, like you mentioned, we've got obviously the Feywild Companion by the Splinterverse folks. Like there's lots of Fey is big right now. Yeah. So you're not done for it, but if you were like, I just only want little bits and pieces, this is also equally good. Like it gives you a potted summary about the sealing and unsealing court and flavouring of different spells and stuff. So the first couple of pages, like 10 pages or so, are these sort of things, and obviously tables in general. We all love a good table.
Lots of good tables, which we'll see in a minute when we make our stuff.
Yes, exactly. So so I think it's one of those things though, because sometimes we get asked, is it something we need to get and stuff like that, and I would be saying, because there isn't necessarily a Fey source book official.
Yeah.
And you just want to dip your toes in. And this is not, I can't remember off the top of my head how much it is on DM's Guild. It's like $8 or something like that. So it's not lots of money. So I think it is a worthwhile document to have a look at as well. And of course all this money goes to the Extra Life charity. So it's like, it does a good deed. You get some stuff out of it. And like you said, some brilliant art. I mean, you say this every time, art is brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. And I think that's where it would fit into your life as a DM, isn't it? Exactly. And
in particular, sorry, I was like, we're going to move on. No, we're not. We're going to go back to it. The idea of contracts.
Yes,
Fey contracts and stuff.
Sorry, yes, I did like this.
No, don't worry. I think this is interesting because I think as a DM, it is incredibly hard to come up with a good contract to fool 5 players.
Yes.
Because I think, and we've talked about this briefly before, this idea of like you're running a campaign, you're playing a big bad evil guy or gal or whatever. And it's supposed to be intelligent, but you're faced with 5 people who are super smart and want to make sure you don't get ahead. I struggle at the best of times to come up with anything villainous. So definitely this gives you an idea of like what kind of Fey bargains you can have, what happens if you break them and stuff. And I will say, off sort of in the middle distance, because I've written something recently for Dragon Plus magazine about Fey contracts and stuff. Have a think about wordplay. So this idea of like, oh, can I have your name, please? And you go, yes. And then, well, that name's gone. As a result, that Fey's taken it because you've offered it. And, oh, can I have a moment of your time? Or anything like that. Anything which is slightly ambiguous.
I like
you know,
that. Get your crossword clue book out because, there's some... English is a terribly, terribly imperfect language in terms of like description of what unperfect, exactly. It is an imperfect language in the sense of like it's not a great legal speak, so so it's you can have a lot of fun with the fact that we say one word to mean 20 other things. So
exactly, like I think my favorite one I saw that come up in my research was give me your hand. So you could be falling off a cliff or something like that, and a Fey person reaches out and you grab it. But that could mean either physically they get your hand, or you have their hand in marriage, which, you know, anything like that. There's just all these sort of things. But obviously that's a different topic altogether.
I love it. I love all of these.
Well, exactly. So there's lots of ways you can go about it, and I think these give you some good ideas to think about. But definitely, if you're coming up with Fey stuff in general, have a think about, like, spend prep time, because I struggle at the best of times to come up with any evil deeds on the spot. So having something like that in play, and making sure that these Fey bargains and contracts and stuff like that, they're supposed to they're supposed to trick the players, but not completely blindside them. So they're like, oh shit, oh this is rubbish, compared to like, oh I should have seen that coming.
Exactly. So
that's that's more juicy as a result for a DM and for players as well, because they feel like, oh, we're idiots. It only takes one time for someone to do that Fey bargain, and then never again. They don't trust anyone, you know. But yes,
perfect.
Let's. All right, with all that out of the way, I appreciate. I was like, we were like, let's just talk about.
No, but it is good. It is really good parts. There is a good document, and I think and it's worthwhile explaining what's important about everything else in it. Okay, cool. We'll share the screen again then, so we can see.
Whoop, sorry.
You just moved. Well. And I've got up the creating of archfey. So it says where to start. So where to start then? Yes.
Yeah, where to start? So what's interesting, again, so when we say Domains of Delight, it starts initially by creating an archfey, so the person that is ruling over this domain. And I think that's a very good idea to have, because ultimately, like, the domain should be like flavorings of that person. You know, their moods, they've always talked about this Feywild being unfettered emotion, and that I like the idea that there is a direct connection to a person. So starting from the person and working your way out is a lot easier than getting that out, working your way in. So looking at the questions. So I think for this part of this section, we'll create the archfey with you, Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
And then, don't worry, I'm sure you'll be fine. And also, I'll say this out. Do you have any D8s with you?
Yes, I do. I just need to get them. Give me 1 second.
Go get them now, quickly.
Where are they? Where are my dice? They're hiding from me.
It's always the way. I just realised, I was like, oh no, I didn't say at the beginning to get dice out for this. So so obviously there's lots of tables in this.
Yeah, I didn't know I needed them. There you go. I got dice.
You got dice. You heard the sounds there.
Dice.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So you don't need them just yet, but it's just good things to get. They're there. So making you panic for no reason at all.
Good.
So
Great.
Where to start? So there's 3 sort of sections. So these sort of questions to ask yourself. So the 3 are under what circumstances might adventurers encounter the archfey? What does the archfey have any allegiance to the summer or gloaming court? So that's the sealing and unsealing fey, which we can go into in a little bit. And then finally, what traits does the archfey have? Specifically, what do they look like? What's their personality? What magical powers do they possess? So I think it's very good to start with that first one. So, and this is just a sort of a conversation one, really.
Okay.
So you have adventurers. They've wandered into a generic Feywild setting just for now.
Yeah.
And so I want to know if they were going to encounter a Fey archlord, an archfey. What do you think would be interesting as an encounter? Where do you think they might encounter them?
See, I've got this idea. The minute you said it, and there's this image that I will put up, if I can put it up now, of a thing that is like there's this beauty. Like, I'm imagining all the colours, right? All the colours, but everything is like, there's a bit more of the land because I'm more of an architect mind, so I'm just going to think architecturally a bit more. But it's more like every single object is a bright colour individually, very pomo, if people know that term, postmodern sort of architecture, like very much like bright yellow, bright red, prime colours. Okay, so I imagine this land where everything starts shifting into trees that are just more like angular versions of a tree, and it's just brown, cool. and then the leaves are a bit more jaggedly, but just flat green. They're just a bright primal green, and then the grass is just like a bit graphical, and it's all very much like prime colours. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. Surprisingly, I'm seeing prime colours, and I live in a house.
I love that. Okay, so prime colours. So that, if we go to that second question, does the archfey have any allegiance to the summer or gloaming court? That indicates to me summer court.
It does a bit more, but
because gloaming court's sort of like, again, it talks about in this book about like, they're more into sort of, while there's primal instincts and stuff, they're more into sort of the darker.
Can we create two archfey?
Absolutely.
Can we have their twin, which only lives in a black and white noir setting?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So perfect. They are like full vibrant technicolor, right? But super like blocky. And then you've got very intricate, sketchy look to this sort of like black and white noir twin.
Yes.
Yeah? So absolutely. One's summer and one's gloaming.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm writing this down as we go. So summer and gloaming. So we've got the sort of the colours aspect of there. So going back to that first question, then, if we're taking the primary coloured blocky sort of setting, this sort of idea, this sort of feeling, where would the visitors, the sort of adventurers encounter the Fae? So looking at this, it talks about like, would the archfey engage with visitors to their land, or would it be like, oh, get out of this land? Or will the archfey wander around their domain like openly, or will they be hidden in their sort of lair?
I see the colour one, the colourful one, all having a very intricately beautiful route that takes them to some sort of temple-like structure upon which they sit within, but they also like roaming around. And I'm imagining them in very like angular, blocky clothes, right? So sort of like Grace Jones-esque shoulder pads and big like asymmetrical dress, or and that colour and shape changing, but only to primaries, and to sort of very angular shapes, and sort of I think this one wants people to enjoy their land more, as this is more like to come and experience it and maybe sort of find their colour, and sort of imbues colours upon people, like sort of takes an element from them, or I don't know. I'm sort of seeing maybe there's an emotional relationship as well to those colours. So when they're being obvious, but like angry reds and greens for envy, and sort of sickly, but being very, but still like having sickly things and negative, like like not always. It's not all about it's about a range of emotion all being expressed. So maybe. Yeah.
You've reminded me of a book called Shades of Grey. Now, not 50 Shades of Grey. It's just called Shades of Grey, and I can't remember off the top of my head who's the author is, but essentially they have like almost like a caste system based on colour, and certain colours can heal, essentially. So you go into like a page shop where on the walls it would say like, I don't know, the 50 blue is a healing one and stuff like that. And people have swashes of something like that. Certainly as doctors, you match colour type for colour type and that sort of thing. It's a fantastic book because it talks about this intrigue about people trying to get ahead to the greys, obviously at the lowest bottom bit, trying to get up into head to the purples or the royal colours, so of course they're going to be at the top. So I like that idea of almost like you said, like a whole domain based on colours, and the brighter the colours. Like, it doesn't have to be in that sort of way, but the angry reds, but maybe they're like the military or the guards in some way, because they are strong and powerful, whereas the blue are more calm, maybe they're more healers perhaps, or something like that. So I quite like that.
I actually did a bit of colour theory, and green is supposedly the calmest colour, supposedly, for our eyes. It uses the least amount of mental inability for your use of the colour. So if you want to make a calming space, do it in architecture as well. If you want to create like a quiet room, greens are a lot better because they actually instill more, they're less ocularly arresting. So blue is actually too cooling. It actually kind of does agitate more than green.
How interesting! I genuinely thought it was blue. The more you know. There
you go. Well, I just remember doing it. So clearly, this is why I've chosen it, because I've probably done a bit at my time.
No, I love that. So sticking on that, the blocky one. We'll come to the sketched archfey in a second. Yeah. So this blocky archfey, do they visit other domains? Or do they keep to their own, and do they get involved with the politics of the Fey courts at all, or do they sort of act independently? I
think that they're a bit of a collector. So they like to then try and find new ways of finding these because I think they're very tied to it's this emotional thing, so it's the Feywild. So I think maybe they're eager to sort of, but not in the sort of like, they're not involved in politics. I don't think they sort of care about that. But they would go to the court maybe just to experience other people, if you know what I mean, more than anything, than actually being involved in it.
Absolutely. I think it's because it talks about, in the allegiance section, it talks about by swearing allegiance to either queen, you gain the privileges of audience of those queens, certain assurances, etc., that those queen courts won't meddle in the effect of your domain. Yeah. But if you don't pledge allegiance to either of the courts, then you can find your whole thing is overrun with spies or anything like that, because they're like, well, you must be up to something. But I kind of like this idea that it sounds like, again, I'm sure we'll go into more and more detail about it, but it's very positive sort of thing. It's like they're not necessarily worried about what other people think of them. Yeah. So maybe that they give sort of lip service per se to Titania, who's the queen of the Summer Court, to the Unsealing Fae. But ultimately they're like, well, we'll attend the balls, but we'll just do as is. So I quite like that as a thing.
I bet they also though do attend both. I think they probably do actually, because they're interested. I can imagine they're kind of interested in all, but maybe they're the same person. Maybe both these phrases are both the same one. And they actually...
Well, hang on. Let's put them as separate, and then we can push them together. Because I think that actually could be really interesting. Maybe two personas for one archfey. Yeah. And depending on whether it's depending on, say, the seasons, or depending on a certain ritual, perhaps. Maybe one takes over the other. Because we've got again, from my own experience of doing some mystic improv recently, there's this idea of halfway through the year the Winter King takes over, I think, from the Summer King, and there's this big fight between them, and they always one will win, which is always the same year on year. So I quite like that as an idea, that maybe there's a shift in the seasons or a shift in the something. But I think I like that, the idea of having two separate personas, but there's a change, almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing between the two, perhaps. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, but I can imagine with that, that sort of want for all emotion would want to go to both. That's kind of why I think they would end up at both.
I guess, but also it does seem to me almost like a extrovert/introvert sort of thing. Yeah. Perhaps maybe like, I've had too much. I need some self-care.
Or maybe it's just like maybe it's more of a Dorian Gray.
Ooh, so sort of
so they've kind of built this persona up of the colour that they've drained. They've drained all the colour out of some. So there's an other body which is actually the without colour, the sort of monochrome.
Yeah. So. I like this idea now that this domain is almost like split in half, while one side being very colourful and the other side being.
That's maybe how it's done. It's maybe sucked it out of the earth to create. So it's kind of diametrically opposed tone, and because there's no shadowing in this in the coloured one. Like there's no shadow, so it's just all flat. which makes it feel really uncalming. So because it's like it's just block color, but there's no depth. It's
and
hard
angles
to read.
as
Yeah,
well.
it's all very angular, but there's no shadowing. There's no like, you can't see where the colors meet. They just hit, and that's it. There's no,
Ooh, I love that. I think that's such a. All right, we've got loads of concepts there, but I think that's a really cool way to start. So we've ideally got at least one Fey, which has maybe two personas, and this idea that the color is what's drawing to them and stuff like that. And they are the sort of person, when in color form, let's say, they are meeting the adventurers. They're wandering about, but they have their own palace or lair, so they can be encountered on occasion. And it sounds like to me that they are very welcoming to maybe new visitors to their domain in this form. And then
they suck out all their colour from them. And then
maybe this sort of devilish or sort of maybe an evil intent or maybe an unintended intent is like that idea of like the longer you stay in this world that you're paying for it in some way, just like with regional effects from when you're on the different other planes, the outer planes and stuff, where they have this sort of thing where you have to make constitution saving throws, and if you fail them you lose a bit of colour or something like that, which all right, well, let's move on. Let's move on to tables now.
Right,
so
tables.
I think we've got this general idea of what this Fey looks like, this archfey looks like. So we're going to go on to presentation. So archfeys have one thing in common: they're all Fey, obviously. But beyond that, their features are widely varied. So we can either randomly determine or so a D8 on this table, or we can pick. So I say let's roll.
Okay.
But if it doesn't fit, you can always pick.
Well,
as
let's
well.
try.
So we've got a strong idea of what this person looks like, but I think it'd be interesting to see what you roll. So go for it.
7.
So 7 is metallic.
Okay.
So the archfey appears to be made of metal. Their face is extremely crafted mask of mithril, silver, or gold, and their body is made from finely tooled metal, etched with organic designs or cryptic symbols. What do you think of that?
I mean, I just changed metallic for chromatic, and that's
perfect.
It.
Done.
It's like the dragons. So I just see it as that. But maybe it is more like enameled. So like enameled, like or powder coated, like metals. So it's like it's very shiny color.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because again, you've got this vibrant like color stuff as well, but shiny as well.
Oh, I
like,
see. But maybe the shine is what's out of the white. Okay, no, I'm going to say no. It's flat because the shine and the shadow is the white, the white and black, the monochrome. So that's been stolen. So maybe they would. So maybe they do. Maybe in their ultimate form become shiny and chromatic and all.
When it all comes together.
When it all comes together, then they become this very like illuminated and
that sounds great. Yeah, so again, that's a perfect example of like we've got this idea, but then changing it, tweaking it slightly to fit with what this concept has. So I think that's great as a result. All right, let's move on to personality.
Yes.
If you haven't already settled on a personality for your archfey, you can determine.
Let's go.
Let's have a look. So see what you get.
I got a 5.
A 5 is mercurial. The archfey has 2 personalities. They shift back and forth between these personalities at certain times or when certain conditions are met.
Perfect.
I mean, that's perfect.
That was not on purpose, I promise you. I am rolling.
That was beautiful.
Well, let's go for amazing. 2 rolls and see what the other 2 are then.
Yeah, see what they are. Yeah, go for it.
6, mischievous.
Ooh.
And 1, which is benevolent.
Benevolent. I can't even say that word.
Benevolent.
No.
Benne. Just say Benne.
Benevolent.
Benevolent. Hi, my name's Ben. Benevolent.
Sorry, now I'm very... Benevolent. Oh, no. Anyway,
okay, yeah.
Number 1 and number 6.
Welcoming. The first one is very welcoming. So, yeah, so I think we're going with the colourful one is very welcoming. Yeah. Assists people, has friendship. And then the other one is this... trickster.
This trickster who likes to confound and frustrate visitors to their domain and surrounds themselves with sly creatures such as boggles, pixies, foxes, magpies, and crows. Yeah. So I guess that could be good because again, mischievous doesn't necessarily say like evil. I think maybe this is the thing you'd think about is that. Well, you've got the colourful one, which I've said always very positive and stuff, and then the chromatic one, which is very negative. But I guess They don't have to have
I don't think they're
evil or good.
Yeah, I actually quite like the fact
Yeah.
that they're not. I like the idea that just the shading, the shaded one only, is just like it's just got this like very takes on that sort of cartoony feel. Then maybe sort of like maybe they're just two sides of a cartoon, but these ones are very much more. The sketch one is more like playing tricks with them and like maybe sketches things out of the air. To like that's how like you flavor like the crows, but like maybe tries to erase someone from just gets a big rubber out and just tries to erase them or something.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it is almost like Joker-esque without obviously all the killing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think
or like draws little just gets like just draws big ears on them and makes them into a rabbit folk, like to one of the characters, just sort of like draws big ears and like mucks around by doing stuff like that.
I like that idea of the I can't remember what it is, the magic item that Jester has, but that thing of painting things that become real. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Big hole, just draws big holes in the floor where they're standing or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, proper like Acme style.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, so I think that's quite good that we can, you can always flip it later on. I think, but they decided that we're not, because I did initially go, oh well. The second persona is going to be evil. Let's actually not think of it like that. So that was on me making a bias.
But maybe the colourful one is the evil one because it's the one draining the colour from the mischievous side. So actually, I think that the actual what's happening is that the colourful one seemingly is so much more like, and that's playing off those perceptions, which is what's great about the Feywild. It sort of plays with the sort of ideas of what you think. It's that sort of parable feeling. So yeah, you think they're very welcoming, this beautiful, colourful land, and then suddenly I'm becoming grey and I'm being pulled into another direction and I'm now stuck in the monochrome land with their other half, and I need to get my part of the half of my whole soul back or something. I don't know.
I think that's really because there is something unsettling about someone who's super positive all the time.
Yeah.
I find so. I think that's a really cool thing that you could have that flip, because I think maybe it's just me, but there's definitely a point where we go, there must be something else underneath, and we know players, they're always like, this person's too happy, there must be a reason for it. So I think playing into that sort of trope would be amazing as a result.
Fantastic. Cool.
All right, moving on then. So the obsessions.
Yeah.
Obsessions are common amongst the archfey. They might obsess over a painting of themselves and spend many days, months, years staring at it. They may obsess over a perceived injustice and work tirelessly to correct it. So here's just some examples of something that I guess gives them a motivation or gives them something to work towards. So can you roll for me a D8 and we'll see.
Well, there's one that's just shouting out.
Oh, go on then. Yes.
Colour.
Oh.
Yeah, so
let's just pick that one then.
Particular colour and puts their subjects to work making. I mean, it just kind of is there, isn't it?
Number 2.
Yeah, it's wearing another colour domain could be seen as laughable, obnoxious, downright rude. But maybe it's just that they love all colour, so that's what they're obsessed with. They're just obsessed with colour and what it means, and on every level, like. They have spaces that are just about the chromatic opposite colours next to each other, and how that and then fade. When you get if you put bright red on blue, and this doesn't happen for everyone. It happens for me when you get kinetic colours. So it looks like, if you ever see a cross sign in England, which has got like a red on a road sign, it's got a red cross and then a blue behind it. Well, on my eyes, it becomes 3-dimensional.
What? I've never heard of that.
So because I've got slight colour blindness slightly, but it also is you get this kinetic effect
so
where
sort of,
because it just phases because your eyes can't read it, so it all goes 3-dimensional. So the red comes forward and the blue recedes, sort of thing, which is kind of
that's so cool.
So I can imagine
I've never heard of that before.
Optical illusions. Maybe that's what the monochrome one does as well. It's like do those big like circular patterns that you think are moving but aren't moving and stuff like that, and creates.
Oh, I love that. Optical illusions. I'm writing that down. Yeah, I think that. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Looking at some of the other ones, there's like obviously obsessions with beauty. That's a very traditional Feywild one. All the way down to stories. Rules are free. We've talked about rules are free before. The material plane. It's like, so again, that could be quite an interesting one. If so where are you from? Tell me everything about you.
Yes.
This idea that they obsess over the adventurers because they've come from the material plane.
I just imagine when the adventurers turn up, they go, "Oh, what are you wearing? I love this ruby. It's so beautiful and so intricate. This red, I've never seen a red like this. So and just really but ignoring them completely, and then just taking the ruby away and just walking off as if that's perfectly fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh yes, this must go into my collection, and just ignoring them, and then wandering back because sorry, you were here, weren't you? Yes, would you like something?
Getting distracted by colour. I think it's an excellent because you can have so much fun as a DM, because it's that sort of thing where you just keep going and going until your players go, sorry, who are you? And you're, manners, that's a thing, you know, and then going back to that, but then getting sidetracked. So having the players then having to guide conversations rather than the other way around, it's great as a.
Well,
as a
taking
DM,
things from players and seeing how they deal with it is always fun, because it's like,
that's mine.
It's mine. I worked hard for those pieces, you know. Like really, it does really put them. Not that you want to put your players on edge, but it does, which is good fun.
I think this is the thing with the Feywild stuff, as we sort of talk about this idea of the contracts and going somewhere brand new, which maybe your players have never gone to the Feywild or gone to a different. I think it's such an interesting way of changing things around, and it's definitely roleplay specific, not necessarily mechanic specific. So I think you can have a lot of fun in creating these stories. I think as long as you have that talk before and going, hey, so you're going to the Feywild, you might not know what that means. It's going to mean things are going to happen here. And I think just having that level of trust anyway with your players anyway. But I just, I love, again, that whole idea of tricking your players, not blindsiding them.
Yes.
I think it's very important to go for.
100%.
But continuing on, signature magic. So almost every archfey has a signature magical power. Sorry, I'll say that again. Has a signature magical power. It's tied to their appearance or personality. So in this, is there any that stand out to you, or do you want to have a role for it?
I'll roll for it. I will roll for it. But I've got an idea as well. But I feel like I'm not using the tables. This is the problem. We meant to use the tables. I've got this book. No,
I think there's some good ones. So yeah, go for it.
Well, I was just thinking, because they have this chromatic tendency, that then they would be chromatic sort of magical uses. Maybe they can. I think there could be things that allow them to use the relevant chromatic dragon style magical effect, maybe from each color, so they can draw some. And actually, this is now stealing a little bit from high rollers, because
borrowing with accreditation.
But Lucius has this ability, because he can pull out. He only has like two, which he can pull out oranges for acid, and I think you can pull out blues for ice damage, from people's clothing. And he's like it's a bit like an artificer meets sorcerer thing, sort of pulling out from his clothes. I've just realised that's very so that's what I'd imagine. Something like they can draw, they can pull, like they've got a red blob just moving past, like big perfect. And I think all the shapes are actually quite primary shapes. They're all like triangles, circles, squares, nothing like a completely off cut, like not like a weird shape. It'll all be perfectly shaped. And then maybe like a red triangle floats past, and they can just sort of throw that, and it becomes like a fire. But the fire again is all just like very angular shape fire that does this all over you like that. It's just little triangles of fire, just little triangles that make fire.
What I like about that as well is that everyone's going to visualize the idea of triangles of fire very differently. Like, and it's like I don't know if you've seen is it called Inside Out?
Yes.
The Pixar one. So when it's like they have to get back, and they have to go through. I can't remember what that passageway is called, but where they become like from 3D to 2D to basic shapes and stuff like that. So obviously that visualization of it is one way of looking at it. But I like, for me, I like the idea of the way you're describing it. Is that I can understand the words, I can't visualize what that is in a way. I just think there's just you can be really delicious about describing something that you couldn't necessarily say CGI it or draw it in some way. Yeah. I'm sure you could, but it's just like it'd be different for everyone. It's not as
No, cool.
I like that.
Yeah, and maybe water is all circles, so blue circles. Maybe there's a shape relation to colour, and like a blue circle just is little blobs of blue to make water. So that's like what water is just little circles that are floating over each other. I quite like that. And when you just drink glug glug glug, and it's just little circles of water going into you.
And it just oh, that's really cool. Oh, you see, and already you're thinking about flavouring what the domain is. So obviously in this document it talks before about like no, it's great. I think this is great because it talks about flavouring of spells, and it says stuff like crown of madness. It says instead of like an actual crown of thorns, it is bits of like peppermint, like a sweet crown in some way. And I think this is cool that you're even thinking about like create food and water. It would come as like maybe little cubes of food, or little squares of food and little rounds of drinks. I think that's great as a little flavour thing. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. I think the only thing looking at the signature magic table, the only thing that stood out to me just looking at it quickly is the simulacrum.
Yes.
So that idea that he's not he, we don't know it's a he, is archfey is making all these magical copies of themselves, but like they're but or making copies of stuff, so they could make copies of the adventurers, but obviously like certain shapes and sort of like these sort of
maybe that's
things
part of their
just,
sort of joke is when they turn up, they go, oh, and they look at them, and then you just suddenly see a version of yourself, but just as a series of block colours, but they've taken a colour. Like maybe if you know your players well enough, you could sort of build this colour out of them. You could say, you know, someone who's always a bit more aggressive is red, or maybe it's like you got like patches of colour that sort of define the character a bit more, which could be quite
almost like pixel art in a way.
Yeah. And
maybe
ask the characters, the players, to describe what colours they think they would be the better way, actually. So you sort of say, you see this coloured blocked version of yourself, very pixelated version of you. What colours would you think would be like the major colours and stuff? That maybe might be a fun way of doing it.
I love that. I think it's good. Okay, onto the final tables. We've got magical gifts.
Yes.
So they have the power to give magical gifts to those who they deem worthy. The gift can be anything from a trinket that grants safe passage through the archfey's realm to a magical item that can be used to defeat a powerful monster. So if you want to roll,
let's roll
a
for
D8.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, some interesting ones.
I got a 3.
Now this is interesting. 3 is lore. So with a touch, the archfey imparts a useful knowledge about a particular subject of the archfey's choice. The knowledge might be permanent, or it might fade away over time.
Okay. How about it's like they can come to, maybe that's part of like why people travel to this land, is that they are so embodied in terms of what emotional states things are, and this sort of relationship to these colours, that you can go there and they can offer you sort of the information on a person's personality, like the personalities of anything you could ask, and like intentions of, like the intentions of someone. So if you were feeling like you were being tricked, and you could even ask about this archfey themselves, but the fact that they can give you true sight on someone's intentions, I imagine maybe that seem right. I don't know.
I think that's good, because again, it's that idea, you're connecting the colours, the emotions to the shapes.
Yeah.
So getting a read on someone.
Yeah.
So changing it. So it's not necessarily about, it's useful knowledge. So it's not law. So it's not history. Yeah. But useful knowledge of what this Fae says. But I think what's important is that it's coloured, so to speak, by the Fae's insight. So if they are this sort of positive thing, going, oh yes, this person's clearly bad dress sense and blah 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 blah. You know. Yeah. So you have that flavour in it as well, but also giving. I think that's I like that.
If you've got like someone that, if you were playing a campaign and you needed to make a deal with another Fae, someone might tell you, if you go see the archfey, the color, the archfey of the primary colors or whatever, then you they could grant you this knowledge of the true intentions of anything or anyone or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah. So that's all sort of the background prep for this archfey. So we've got a lot of information here. So what I want you to go away and do now, because we are stopping this recording in 5 minutes. But I think what again, homework for you, Hamilton, in a way. So the final bit is like, you want to, if they end up fighting it, as all bloody adventurers do end up fighting it, is to go away and think about the stats for the archfey. So it says here that you could, either create a stat block or modify some other creatures, and it's we've done guidance on how to do it beforehand. But I think just, why don't you go through, because it says choose a stat block of a challenge rating 5 or higher as one of the following types, which is beast, elemental, fey, giant, humanoid, or plant, and then change that creature's type to fey, make its intelligence at least 10, give it 2 languages, and then the fey rebirth and legendary resistance. So I think have a look through, see if there's any creatures perhaps that thing, because obviously in the example they give in this document, it's a giant spider, which I was like, whoa, but actually I quite like that it's not in my head, as I always see these things, it's Fiona but with pointy ears. Yeah. It's Fiona but with hands for feet.
I've now got an idea that it's some sort of weird Modron.
Oh, you know me, I love Modrons.
Yeah,
so.
But I was talking about them earlier, and I don't know, maybe I'm not sure. But it's because of the primary shapes that they are, so that I see it as like a sort of rogue, creative Modron. But I'm not going to say that I'm sticking with it. I will come back. No, I'll try and even do art if I have time by Tuesday, if I can.
Don't.
I'm only saying I will cut this out if I don't do it. So there you go.
That sounds good. But have a think. Yeah. I'll be interested to see what you come up with in terms of it. I would say just take a stat block from someone. Again, if folks were doing this, playing along at home, creating at home, you have all the time in the world to come up with what you want in your Fae. But I think they're simply just taking that rating challenge rating fire creature or higher with those sort of restrictions, and they're very loose restrictions at that.
Yeah.
That's a very good, useful starting guide as well. So,
I'll do that. Awesome. Well, this is good. I'm enjoying this. I'm now excited for part 2 of our adventure.
I'm so excited. I love this concept, this idea of colour, because I think it goes beyond what you were saying before about this Feywild stuff, where it's all whimsical, but is it dangerous? But the fact is, it's like very stark contrast between colour and monochromatic, and just I think that's a really good way to tell your players you are not on the material plane anymore. And it's this visualization as well. Like, it's one of those things I really struggle to visualize it, but when you can describe it, it's ones you can really describe and to go into detail, like you're saying about. Like, you could talk all about different shapes as well, like, a polygon goes by. Although I think that's a Pokemon.
But even then, it's just like you just see a bunch of little brown triangles walking along, carrying green bigger triangles. It's just ants in a row, but they're just they're like tiny little brown triangles with a big diamond shape for a leaf, which is the green leaves.
Or even because I was thinking maybe yellow triangles, and it's all ducks.
Yes, little yellow triangle ducks with a little little white triangles with yellow beaks, on
the big blue sort of circular oval.
Oh, okay.
What have we done?
We're making a domain of delight. That's what we've done. Good fun. Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll see you in 5 seconds. I will see you.
Yes, we'll see you in 5 seconds. But I will see you in a couple of days' time when you've come across and you've definitely not drawn out this creature. Please don't do that. Oh, you don't have time.
I will make the time. Okay, all right then. Whoa! Whoa, we've just time travelled.
Wow, look at that. That's been at least 4 days.
So what are we doing again? I forgot.
What are we doing again? No, well, we are still doing our Domains of Delight episode, and you have, in the time interim between the previous recording and now, which obviously has been mere moments for our viewers, you have created, or finished off even, archfey.
I have.
You sent me some drawings.
I did. I want to clarify before we show it that I think I could do better. Rainbow is so I've given them a name, Rainbow and Shade. Yes. Right, so they're like the ones are sort of like just monochrome, and one of them is sort of just multicolored. Now the multicolored one is quite a complex idea, and I haven't executed it to the fullest of its potential. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel you're putting yourself down, because when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I completely get what you were talking about before, this idea of blocky, whatever, and then the drawn element of shade as well.
Shade, I think, is cool, and I think is like, I want more of that shade element in, so if someone wants to go out there and make it better, or I will keep working on it. But anyway, here you go, you can see it now. So there is Rainbow and Shade.
That is, I appreciate it. I look this way, it's probably not there.
It's that way, it's sort of like, if you look like that, no. Other way, down a bit, look down a bit, there, yes, yes, that way, that's perfect. It's behind you.
It's behind
It's coming from inside the house. So anyway, that's Rainbow and Shade.
I love it. So tell me, so we talked about creating it before, so we can go back to the note on it.
Yes.
We said...
I'll go back to that as well. You can see that.
Yeah, so it said, alternative, choose a stat block of a challenge rating 5 or higher of one of the following creature types, and then against intelligence at least a 10, so plus 0, and give it 2 languages it doesn't have, and then give the following traits, which is Fey Rebirth and Legendary Resistance, which are always good. So what
did I do?
If any, what did you base it on?
So actually, I'm going to say what I did try to start it off was, because of fizzy bands, I went and tried to use a Draco Hydra, because I thought, because the whole colour idea of using all the different magics, I thought, let's start with Draco Hydra. It just didn't work. But that's what I started with, and then I thought, I'm just going to go with Iggly Witch, which is Ig Wilvy, but Iggly Witch is my...
So from Wild Beyond the Witch.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry. Whoops. A person of note.
Yeah, a person in that adventure. But yeah, Iggly Witch is what I started it off with. I sort of changed the armor class for some reason, and I don't know why. But anyway, and I also gave them a fly speed. So I've taken 2 off the armor class and added a fly speed, because I feel they should be able to fly.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I've taken exactly the same stats, which is 10, 18, 18, 27, 12, 23.
Nice.
Yeah, so good, like not very strong, because I feel like they'd shatter. These things are very two-dimensional, so I feel like they'd get hit and they would shatter, and that's kind of part of I've sort of flavoured the actions that they make. But I feel like constitutionally they're quite, even though they might shatter, they could build more of these colours, so they would still have quite good, I feel like, overall sort of constitution, combination of themselves, I guess. Decks are kind of probably quite sharp and edgy. They need high intelligence, because I see them as sort of...
Yeah, +8.
Yeah,
really good.
Which is what Iggly Witch has got. But I thought that kind of works because I'm like sort of, well-known, knows all this knowledge and tries to understand a lot of things about people and their personalities, and hence also a very high charisma, because they're sort of very charismatic. These are Rainbow and Shade working together stats. So I'm seeing them as, because they are two entities, but of the same...
Yeah, you said they were two sides of the same coin.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, this makes sense.
And so I sort of haven't fully written this, so if you look closely, there kind of still says Iggly Witch in places, but I've got
don't look at that too close.
Yeah, but I've got it in my mind as how it works. But I've got sort of things like... So they get legendary resistance is what I've given them instead of the other one, which was Fey Rebirth. But they've got Boon of Immortality, which is pretty... Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But I flavour it that if they fail a saving throw, they can choose to one or the... Like, they can choose to sort of... the resistance is flavoured that they sort of draw either some colour... If it's the hit is hit on Rainbow, then Rainbow sort of draws further colour out of anything around them, and then Shade sort of imbues some, sort of takes some of the light off something, or something that sort of like two-dimensionalize it.
Oh, oh god, what's it called now? I think it's like tone.
Yes,
right? No.
yeah. So it takes the tone, like sort of takes the tone out of something. So they sort of they just do a little bit of flavour to it. So they have.
I like that. Yeah,
that's kind of it.
More flavour, the better.
And then given magic resistance to Rainbow, but I haven't finished this. I thought Rainbow would have magical resistance to elemental magic, but not psychic and radiant and necrotic, but then vice versa. Flip reverse it. So Shade, and then I would say they'd have immunity. They would have what's the other one called? But then vulnerability to the alternate, basically. So that's how I thought it would work. So sort of radiant would then start to like illuminate this sort of flat block, and therefore they would have a problem with that.
There'll be less of them.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of how I see it. So that's kind of what I felt. But they get a boon of immortality. They are immune to any effect that would age them, and they can't die from old age, unless they are merged once again with Shadow or vice versa. With Shade. So Shade and Rainbow merge together. Yeah. Then they can age.
So they become almost like so they become 3D, like present in the world.
Yes. So by splitting themselves, that's how they've got their immortality, is by making the split. Is how I've written it.
Right. So cool.
Yes. So that's kind of how I see it. Ish.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, love it.
They get a multi-attack, which is they get this bewitching bolt, which is basically the same thing, but I thought it's like a colour bolt. It's just like a little colour bolt. So I just flavour it that they get to hit. It does 5d6 plus 8.
I was going to say, bloody hell.
It's quite...
You put it a challenge rating 20, so I was like, this is going to
Well, this is Iggly Witch. This is Iggly Witch's stats. So, but the bewitching bolt in this would instead be just like, it's like they've got prismatic focus, and I said this would be like a prismatic bolt. They could choose what damage type it would be, basically, from a colour, and they could shoot out sort of like little darts of colour in the different shapes. And then the prismatic focus is when they sort of they pick up a big block of colour off the ground or off their body, and then they shatter it, they smash it forward, it sprintles out, and in 60-foot cone of like little darts of colour go and hit everyone in that cone. So that's their sort of super one. Get a bit of spell casting, but then I'm suggesting the spell casting is Shade. So Shade can do detect magic, disguise self, invisibility, light mage hand, message, all those sort of things. Feels very much more like shade sort of.
Yeah, sort of tricksty.
Yes.
Things. Yeah, you got hideous laughter in there.
Exactly. Again, stealing these all from Iglewitch, but they sort of work. Dispel magic, polymorph, so you can sort of morph into, like, as I was saying, like that sort of cartoony sort of like change their shape and reorganize and sort of teleport. Felt right. Maze and wish once per day.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yes. Okay, because why not? Just made, because I like the idea that. But I like the idea that Shade, with this sort of trickiness, would like just maze someone. Would just maze them in this sort of like black and white sketchy maze. That would be really.
It's definitely the like 95 Windows screensaver maze.
Yes, yes, exactly. Definitely just 2D flat, just flat page. Yeah.
And I think you always have to have wish in there. I know you said you're taking it from Iglewitch or however you pronounce her name. Because obviously Fae, they're going to make bargains. They're going to, and wish is such a great one for DMs as well to be able to just twist it. So yeah,
exactly. That's fine. Exactly, and maybe you could flavour it a bit more that they can't do certain. They can't like wish themselves back together, I guess, or something like that. But maybe they could. Fae step. I think both of them have that ability. That just seems about right. Then negate spell reaction again would be a shade thing. I feel like can sort of just negate anything. By just like, and that could do it twice per day. And then so that's the legendary actions, which is doing the spell casting. The dark speech, I've kept that in, but I probably want to change that. I think there's got to be a better one. But then I think the failed beguilement is quite cool. So they can just using their charisma spell, and I felt that what that would do is that I'd sort of flavour it again that one or the other can affect people in different ways. When they fail on this, they start losing either their colour or they start losing their tone by becoming closer to one or the other sort of realm. And if they fail this a number of times, they become stuck in this until a wish spell or something,
they're restored
but they have to restore it. It's like, it's not just a curse, it's beyond a curse. Like, so when it's like one day it's just a curse, 2 days it requires like greater curse. I can't remember what like a greater restoration instead of lesser restoration, and then it needs wish sort of thing to return yourself.
I love that. I think amazing. Good work, Hamilton.
That's it.
No, I love it. I think my only question would be, so when it's their turn, are they both acting or is it one of them acts and then on the next turn the other one acts? Or
well, so how I've worked it is that I feel that the reactions are all shade, and then obviously the witchcraft is a legendary action, so their actions are spellcasting. So I assume it just depends on what you're doing. Just one does that action, then the other does the action, sort of thing. So it's just kind of, they'd have one turn. It just would be flavoured that one would be doing one thing than the other. That's kind of how I see it.
I see. No, great. I think that's really helpful for me, because obviously I'd be like, well, which one gets to go first? But yeah, if Rainbow has the, let's say, main action economy, and then like you said, the legendary actions is shade again, almost trickster things, sort of messing up the order,
sort of reactive and stuff.
I love that. Fantastic, cool. That's really
so I think
cool.
that kind of works, and that's it. And then what's it gonna? There was something else I had on that, but I've forgotten. But that's kind of it. That's them. There we go.
I love it, and like I said to you when you sent me that image earlier, I was like, oh, I'm getting very Bendy and the Ink Machine vibes from Shade.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you've ever played that game, but it is fucking terrifying.
I've seen pictures of it. Weirdly, I've only seen it because they sold a toy of it in TK Maxx, and I was like, who is this? Essentially, for those people who haven't played it, you play an animator who left a studio 20 years ago, and you've been invited back. Obviously, things aren't what they seem, and there's so many jump scares, and the whole thing is that their mascot Bendy, like a little devil, very similar to Mickey Mouse sort of thing. Basically, again, no spoilers really, but they've summoned demons through ritual, and they're using animation stuff, and there are so many jump scares, and it's just this bendy creature going hello outside of things, and I stopped playing it because my heart was like, dying inside. But it was really good. Yeah, it's a mixture of bendy and almost like what's he called? It's Dead Man.
Yeah, dead mouse.
I've used that. I literally took dead mouse and sort of like copied a bit of it and then given it more funky hair. But
Yeah, bigger ears. Yeah.
and actually, it's a
Dead
bit
cat.
of Susie. I actually took some of the pose, some of the front leg and the hand and the staff is Susie Sue from the Banshees. The back leg I drew myself, but I'm saying it's sort of I've mixed up these. I found this like, yeah, and added the nails on. But yeah, I'm a big Susie Sue fan, so I thought that's quite cool.
Oh, fab.
Yeah.
No, this looks incredible. So good job on that, Matt Hamilton. And, well, shall we go ahead and make...
The
let's
actual-
flesh out the domain
Yes.
a bit more. I think because we've got a very good idea of what this domain is, which is
Yes.
great, but it would be remiss of us not to...
No, I think this
roll
is
up
it.
the
So
tables.
I think this is where you got to. I've given you the background. I've given you your archfey.
Oh, it's me, is it? Oh,
I
God.
think this is what we've got to do now. No. I will help, obviously, along.
No, I've got my dice. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, it's me. Shoot, I'll have to get my dice out. But yes.
I think that would be kind of fun though, because then you will add the layers of the geography.
We'll do that. Let me. You ready for the dice?
Yes, give me the Foley. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna have new dice next week. I got some from. Do you know Chemgal on the internet?
I have heard. I've not seen any of their stuff though.
Yeah, so they're really cool. I'm very excited. Very excited.
You'll have to show me next.
Yes,
time
I will,
we
and I've got
record
them. I'll be
and
like,
see it.
show them off.
Look at these.
Say the ways. Because the coolest ones I've got are just metal ones. They're just boring
Yeah.
now. I've seen so many other cooler ones.
Well, once you've got metal ones, you're like, this is cool, and then so again, this is dice snobbery at its best. For sure. I say that I've got tons of, I've got gemstones, dice, I've got things, and
Yeah.
I'm just like this. I love it, but it means I need more.
I just
That's
rolled
how it
3 natural ones on different dice. That's just
Oh, it's
ridiculous.
good. You're getting the bad luck out. That's why I say. So it's when you roll in that front one, you go, oh, you've used that now. Oh, don't
Yes.
do it anymore.
Oh, Curse of Strahd yesterday. Oh, we'll
Oh,
talk
yes.
about that later. We'll talk about
Oh,
that later.
We'll talk about it later. Alright,
Fucking
so-
dice! That's all I'm gonna say.
Dice betray the betrayers of it all.
We survived,
Alright,
but fuck it. Oh,
but
anyway.
I know. Well, we had some. A later time. We're here to
Yes.
domains of delight.
Yes.
So where should we start then? What is the plan?
So it says, once your archfey is fleshed out, you can create the domain of light that serves as the archfey's home in the Feywild. Generally, the size of domain is a good determiner of an archfey's power, but an archfey's domain can be as big as small as you like to be. Now, I know I've given them a high challenge rating, but I sort of felt with the two of them, it sort of feels sort of doable. But I would say that their influence is probably half the challenge rating. That's how I would see it. Because actually, it's only because there's two of them that they're so high up. But that's all I was thinking.
I agree with that.
They're not
Yeah,
an Iggle. They're not really an Iggly Witch, but they are.
No, they're two people in one.
Yes.
Sort of two sides of one entity.
Yeah, that's all.
ideally,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, that's all.
Definitely.
I was thinking. But yes, you go. Graphical features.
Okay, so this is one prominent geographical features determined randomly. So we have said before that this land, regardless of size, is sort of split almost down the middle. There's definitely like the monochromatic side and the very colourful primary coloured side. So we definitely have that as a feature, but not.
I wonder if it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, is it split down the line, or is it
well, in my head it was
biopia?
both.
So they're on
yeah.
top of each other, looking down.
Ooh, that could be quite interesting. I guess maybe it's patchy.
Or
perhaps, I
maybe
don't know.
maybe they are existing on top of one another, and you could like the Shadowfell, and you can sort of 1 minute just fall through a hole.
Maybe one is stronger at certain times.
I don't. Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Anyway, all those
Alright,
things.
So geographical though. Let's see. So it's a 1d8 on the table. That is a 6.
Rolling farmland that yields healthy, bountiful produce of amazing size.
I think that makes sense definitely in the colourful primary colours thing. I love the idea. It's just like circles.
Yes.
Or
Corn is just
cubes.
big circles stuck together.
I think we talked about this. I think we talked about it last time about having a drink of like blue as a thing, and you suck it, and then maybe like a shake
Little
comes out of it.
little circles of blue that you just drink. Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah, and yes, I can imagine. Yeah, lots of farmland. But
Cows
almost
are just like a triangle, like a cube of black with white legs, sort of thing.
like a cow.
Yeah, just little, like there's a cow and that's it, and then a sheep is just circles of white.
It's like again back in the old days of the Windows XP or something, where it had the official there's just a rolling hill and then blue.
Yes.
That just like.
Yes, that's it. Hills are
2D,
just
that's
half
what
circles. Yeah.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. Oh, I love
Okay,
that.
cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Awesome.
Okay. Next is domain theme.
I mean, I'm seeing one that works again. There's the thing.
Is that kaleidoscope?
Scopic, yes.
I think that's funny. So yeah, this domain is a riot of ever-changing colours. Plants come in dazzling arrays of colours. Flowers change colour to suit prevailing moods, and the Fae wear costumes of scintillating hues. Great word, scintillating.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, I think that works completely because obviously it's not just plants; it's everything.
Everything. Everything is just block colour. Yeah. Well, then what should we do? What do we do for the? Should we roll for the other one then? The other half of it.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I just realised on top of all my geek stuff, I have the Pantone colour stuff. So that's what I imagined. It would just be like different shades of that, but I completely like block.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah. Sorry, I just realised. I'm looking up there, going, I actually have something for this. Anyway,
awesome.
Sorry, distraction. So, rolling for. Sorry, what were we rolling for?
Domain theme. So we've got. But I'm thinking if there's, so we do a theme for the sort of shades. Domain then that's what I was thinking because it could be a few of them and maybe that could make it.
You know what? That's a good point.
Yeah.
So definitely the kaleidoscopic for the primary colours one, and the monochromatic we've got. It's a 7.
Musical. Oh.
Yes. This domain abounds with music. Frogs, toads, and insects break into multi-part harmonies and sometimes create a crescendo into symphotic. Can't say that word. Rapture of melodious tweets, trills, chirps, and whistles. Okay. Now, I actually, you know what this reminds me of? The old-fashioned Disney cartoons and sort of things.
Yeah.
Where you had like Steamboat Willie and all.
Yeah, that's what I kind of what I'm thinking actually. So it's more. I see it more. Yeah, less like it. So yeah, like little animals floating down and sort of singing and talking, and then, but in a very cartoony sort of way, like really yeah.
Really playing up that really early Disney
that sort of the dawn is breaking track.
Felix the Cat.
Yes.
Is the one I always remember.
Oh yeah, Felix the Cat. Yeah, that's 100%. I kind of like that. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I like that. That I think that works well because I think the colours. They said there's that is a main theme. It is just so garish.
Yes.
In places. And then here is like. Less garish, but it's still some. It could be really irritating as well. The music, but I like that idea. A song is coming.
Yeah, maybe maybe that's because Shay does have. Yeah, I think that could be kind of like a sort of entertainer, sort of giving that.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. I think all of that. I think you could just see everything being like welcome to in both lands could both be musical. Maybe just people just going. Singing to you, I guess. I don't know.
I guess no. I think that's a good idea because, like, again, you think back to the old-fashioned sort of silent movies and stuff like that. They still had like a piano player, so maybe that's it.
Maybe it's silent movies. Yes, no, I love it. That's it.
And just like, where is that piano coming from? You never know.
And you try talking, and it just goes. And then it just stops. Yeah, and then it says and it comes up. You lose sense of space, and you just see a square block saying your words out, and then it disappears again.
Yeah, I like that. Having this, silent music subtitles.
Silent movies, yes. So yes, Shade is the silent movies land. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Okay,
perfect. Yeah,
awesome.
There we go.
Cool. Oh, lovely bit of art.
Oh, I love amazing. Yeah, an intrepid gnome adventurer traverses moonlit stream while scowling flowers look on, which is horrific.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I just noticed those. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like old grannies and poppies. I always think reminds me again like very Alice in Wonderland, but obviously evil.
But obviously evil. Yeah. Cool. Oh, okay. So coming and going. Travelers don't have to access to plane shift spells. Human magic must rely on other means to travel to and from the Domain of Delight. So we need a Fey crossing.
Excellent. So what's cool about this is that you could always say the archfey is aware of any Fey crossings or not, and it could be something that they've forgotten about. So it could be literally a way to get in, and we've talked about it before on this podcast about it. It could be as simple as swimming across a pool and then realising the end of the pool is in a completely different forest, or even going under a tree branch, or a root, and you're scrambling out and you look ridiculous because you're covered in mud, but you're in a beautiful place. So, all right, so it's another D8.
Or a wardrobe.
Or a wardrobe. Yes, the most famous of all Fey crossings.
Exactly.
Go to IKEA. Oh, that is a 3.
A 3. A hollow tree. A hollow tree.
Lies across a hollow hollow interior of an enormous tree. The crossing is open to anyone who carries a leaf or acorn from that tree. This feels very Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, that idea that there's all these different... maybe it is that sort of thing. You go, oh, you come out of one door and you look around and it's like, oh, there's the turkey door, there's the Easter door, and then there's the one of colour and silent music.
I'd like this idea that like the tree is like it looks like someone's come along and painted a tree in just the colours of the branch. So the branch, it's like a normal tree, but it like the root, like the roots are all yellow, the trunk is all like blue, and then you've got purple and green sort of like things coming off and branches, and then it looks like a fake tree, but it's randomly in this thing and it's got a little opening in it.
Because obviously this tree I would assume would be 3D as well, so maybe it's been made to look like it's 2D colourful. I like that as a thing. Like it's like it's a tree, but some arsehole just painted it.
Exactly what I mean. It just looks like some arsehole's come along and just like spray painted it. Crazy.
Gone Dulux on it. And it's like everywhere. No, I like that. I think that's really cool.
That's cool.
So going, and it's also going into the tree.
Yeah.
So I maybe that idea that you go in and it's like one of those. Oh, I can't remember what it's called now, but there's it's called General something, the biggest forest tree in.
LA. I don't know.
Yeah. No. It's okay. This is me shouting to the void, going, "What's the name of that tree?" It's called General something, but that idea.
Massive redwood thing.
Yeah. Is that you go in and you go, can't find anything, and you go out and you go, oh shit.
Yes.
Like, you just literally, it's that sort of thing. You turn around rather than going through it. You just turn around and you realise you're already there. So.
Oh yeah, I quite like that. I like that. Maybe it's got like it's so big. It's got a little opening and it's got like little lights or something in there, or something that's interesting, or maybe or you see like you hear a little snicker of like shades sort of like doing little.
You get some musica as you go in, like a lift.
Yes.
Like, as a piano or something.
I wonder if there's a way that if you you can roll on a table, or something you do, or an answer you have to make that decides which of the two realms you enter into.
Ooh.
I don't know what that could be, but do you know what I mean? Something that.
In going back to a completely different book, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, there is a bit in it in the adventure where they go into a room and the room asks the players a question, and it says like if they respond, if they say yes to the question, this happens. If they say no to the question, they say this happens. If they don't say anything, the second option happens.
Yeah.
Because they've kept their silence and stuff like that. So maybe having something like that where it's like you give them two options and ask them how would they react.
Yes.
Rather than like if they do something, if they trigger something, rather than something happens the tree starts to shake. Do you run out or do you try and hold your ground? Or something like that?
Maybe that's it. Because if you run out, maybe you hit the colour, and if you stay inside, you fall through the floor. Do you know what I mean? And then you enter into the sort of the shade realm.
Shade,
and then,
absolutely.
Or maybe you both turn. Oh, okay. Right. If you fall into the shade realm, and if you fall into the colour realm, you both see each other, but you see each other in those sorts of styles. So you see only your friend just as a monochrome sketch of themselves. Like, if anyone knows the term ambient occlusion, that is not a common term for people to know.
Let me just sprinkle that into this podcast.
Ambient occlusion is a graphical rendering term where you just see a white model with like where things meet shadows, where things meet.
The sort of negative space that you sort of...
Yeah, so they did really cool Batman imagery for one of the games where it was all like that. It's like a white model, but you only get like the secondary shadowing, ambient shadowing. Yeah, so that's it. So that sort of thing, you see that, and then if you go through the color realm, you don't have any shading, but you're just a flat color version of yourself, sort of without any shading.
Yeah, because you could ask them what they do.
Yeah.
And because I guess the only thing is that if all the party go, we run out. So you're like, well, that's fine. But they'll all see each other as giving them that choice is excellent. I love that.
Yes. Okay, that was all. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. All right. Cool. Awesome.
All right.
What have we got? Oh, some more nice art. I never might lead. Ooh. Right. Oh, there was more on that. List. I didn't see the others. Okay, those are cool.
Oh, the Fey Crossing Moon, Mushroom Circle. The famous of all crossings, and a stone bridge, and a stone circle, just in case.
Just if you're in the West Country, anytime. So
magical shortcuts.
Okay. What does this do? What does I've got. It's been a week since I properly read this. I'm reminding myself.
It's the same. So the idea of that you have a shortcut where if you spend 1 minute doing some sort of ritual, it gives examples of that you can get somewhere. So I guess it's fast travel. I guess if you were trying to get across.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
To another.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I guess for this is like if you had to quickly get to we need to be monochromatic right now. Would you do something for that? So yeah. So this is another D8. So I'll have a quick.
Okay. Cool.
It's a 1. Pick petals from a flower whilst walking towards a beckoning sunset. Rubbish. I'm gonna roll again.
Well, you could be that you pick one of every shaped colour. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So if you collect a red, a blue, a green, a yellow, a purple, a pink, like that, you get the 8 colours or whatever there is. It's an 8-bit. Let's say it's 8-bit. You get the 8 colours, and if you get all of those, then you can travel in that direction quickly.
Oh, I see. So it's almost like you've got all the colours. You can move over, and then And how would you reverse that? If you remove the colours? No, I don't know. I kind of maybe roll another one for the other one. Let's say that's the one for the shortcuts in the colour domain. Let's see what. Yeah. Okay, for the monochromatic, it's an 8.
Holding hands or dancing around a tree at twilight.
I mean, we've got a tree already, I guess. So something tree-like, shadow-like. I like the
whistling a tune while walking backwards. It's kind of.
I like because you were talking about that before. You said the phrase and I can't remember it now. But the sort of negative space with the sort of.
Can I give you one I've got? Sorry.
Go for it.
I'm sorry because we picked up the colour shapes.
Yeah.
If you were silent for more than a minute, you get the screen comes up with 3 dots, ellipses. If you reach out and grab the 3 ellipses as circles, you then get to short travel.
Perfect.
How about that?
Amazing.
I was trying to think shape-wise, and I thought that if you're silent movies and you don't say anything, you just go ... You just have to grab them.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah, because there'll be tangible things.
Yes.
I love that. That's so cool.
Sorry. There you go.
No. That's very helpful because I had nothing but holding around and dancing around.
Exactly.
That could have been our fate.
Yes, that would have been our fate. Okay, great. Drama. Ooh, adding drama. Well, if there wasn't enough already, let's add more.
So this is this could be like a story hook, or this could be just something going on in this domain as well. So another D8. We love our D8s. It's a 3.
Domain's archfey ruler recently turned down invitation to the Gloaming Court, offended the Queen of Air and Darkness, whose spies are now sowing discord throughout the domain. Yeah, I like that.
That makes sense because we described this archfey of Rainbow and Shade. They paid lip service to both of them, but they were sort of independent. They sort of not aligned to either of them.
Yes, exactly. So I can imagine just busy and just doesn't think too much of it. I imagine, to be honest, themselves, but really, that's pissed them off enough.
Yeah, maybe it's that sort of thing where they go, I'm coming. I've already been to the local tea party one or whatever. I've been to something recently. It's again. Sorry. Also, it's something minor where it's obviously super fucking important.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So they really should have gone, but they're not bothered. Yeah.
But I like that again because having these spies as well, the Gloaming Court is I can't remember off the top of my head, but that idea of its primal instincts, it's uncivilized, that sort of thing. Again, that could be really cool with both the primary colours and the monochromatic, and having these spies.
I'd love to actually. You could have them just basically quite farcical in some ways, like them just turning up in this colour realm and just being turning into a colour and just falling floating off camera.
And then they pull out sticks, oblong colours and
Yeah, no, exactly.
No, I love that. I think that's really good.
I think that's cool. Magic. Okay, cool. Oh, weird magic.
So this has been done before in it's been done before in Tasha's, this idea of regional magics or so. So give some examples of when you first enter a region, if you lose more than half your hit points. The horror ones are always if you split up, if you fall asleep, all that sort of thing. Which I've used in my own Curse of Strahd campaign when they were we're going to investigate this room. That's half the party. another half party, we're going to explore this room, and one person says, well, I'm going to stay here and make sure you both do it. And it said, oh, so you're on your own? And they're like, no! You've already said it. And it was great. I loved it. It was really, really cool. So those just give you some examples of like what you could do as a
Is that when you meet the
effect.
face of death? Is that what it's called? Is that the one? We had someone meet that in our campaign.
No, I can't remember what it was. It was just like a regional effect where
Okay.
essentially it was just if they're on their own or something like that, and I rolled, and basically a harmless but unsettling a ghost appears. So I basically borrowed with accreditation the tall man from the Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, okay.
That just was stood in the corner all the time.
Oh, that is so fucking freaky. I hate this.
And none of the other characters could see it apart from this one character, and it was great.
Oh, that's awful.
There was a well where he pulled himself out of at night, and the other character's like, no, what do you want? And he didn't say anything, and it was.
You are evil. You are evil.
I
am not playing a game. I'm not playing any horror game with you.
My DMing there.
I mean, it's
Anyway.
great DMing, but anyway, enough now. Right.
Enough. All right. I'll roll for some weird effects. For this one. So
Okay.
This is another D8.
Mhm.
Oh, that dice went on the floor. That doesn't count, apparently. Oh, that's an 8 though on the second one.
8. One character in the region triggers a wild magic effect that's determined by rolling on the wild magic surge table in the sorcerer section of the player's handbook. If the effect duplicates a spell, the character's spellcasting ability for that spell is charisma. Okay, I think I kind of like that. I think that cool.
I guess as long as all that again, you'd have to look up the wild magic surges, but I think as long as you flavour it, depending.
That's it, isn't it?
That's the thing. I think having a look, obviously, as a DM, I'm sure you have all these tables to hand, as thanks to D&D Beyond.
Yeah,
but then you can be like, look it through and go, okay, not that there's more commonly rolled numbers than others. I'm sure there is, but like, you can be like, for each entry, you're like, okay, this happens. It's like this. So just having your own version written out for this. But I think that could also work. 'Cause again, it's such a, let's face it, it's a bizarre domain.
Yes.
And things don't work as you think. So
I think that's it. I think that's fine. I think that works. Like, exactly. If you just flavour them to be sort of coloury and shapy or shady and stuff, then I think it kind of works. That's cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Domain denizens.
So so this isn't a table to roll on.
Okay.
It says different creatures that can appear essentially, which I think it's just to give you an idea of what they're sort of listed by challenge ratings.
Yeah.
And they're all most of them are awaken, which essentially means they can speak and have thoughts.
Yep.
And stuff, which could be quite cool. And I think all of these are great options. I love the idea, like looking down at number 1 is like giant octopus.
Yes.
That. Can you imagine that as a shape? Just like.
Ooh, yeah, I'm also seeing the camel as well, the 2 humps.
Yeah, the 2 humps.
It's just gonna really bad animation. I think that's gonna be.
Yeah, that's true. All movement is literally stop motion.
Yeah, exactly.
Pixelmation. I love that.
Whilst it's really fluid in sort of the shade realm, but then in the sort of color realm, it's very much just like just walking around, walking side. Maybe you have to walk side. If you meet someone, you have to jump over them to get past.
Like
unless you
old-fashioned Mario type.
Maybe it has parallax, so you have to maybe you have to make some really crazy rules, but you have to like jump to the further parallax to get beyond. Something's coming at you. If you don't get out of the way, you've got to jump onto the other parallax line so you can move, but you move at different speeds. Because they move at different speeds because you're further away.
That. That's proper, like almost like Crash Bandicoot style, like the original one where it's like impossible to tell how far away you are. I like that. I think that's, again, this whole realm. I've said before, it's very hard to visualize, but I love the language of it. So I just love this idea is like you can't tell because you just distance is just not a thing for you.
I think that's the distance is weird. You just move behind. You get smaller. But you have to move 5 feet. You have to use 10 feet of movement, and then when you move 1 layer back, you have to move 5 feet. You have to use 15 feet of movement or something like that just to move around something to get back to the main plane.
It feels very much like Monkey Island, that video game series where you have to think.
Love Monkey Island.
Well, because obviously everything it's like, well, it's obviously this. And you're like, how was I ever going to solve this puzzle by just picking up the anchor or anything like that? So I feel like, again, it's that something where, again, play those games because they're great, but this getting that logic and just putting that on here, and that's how you work out things.
Yeah, how you move I think that could be really fun. Oh, I want to. Okay, this is cool. I'm enjoying this. Oh,
yeah,
yay.
good. No, I think it's great. And then I think finally we've got domain visitors as the final.
Okay, yes.
So,
Okay, the other visitors include friends and foes of the domain's archfey. Oh, okay, cool. Right, you roll a d8.
Yeah, so these are like almost minor characters you can put in. So if the people are really lost, you're like, don't worry, other people are lost too. So rolling that d8. It's another 8.
Arcanoloth. Using alter self spells to assume human form as it searches the Feywild for one of the books of keeping. I don't know what an Arcanoloth is.
I'm going to look it up and describe it. So Arcanoloth sounds magical, obviously.
It sounds like it.
It sounds like it's not a spider. I thought it was a spider.
I thought it would be like they're all demons, aren't they? Loths.
It's a Yugoloth, yes.
Yeah.
It's so that I've just defeated one of these in my home game.
Oh right, yeah.
But they're pretty. Yeah, they're like if you imagine Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf takes on Granny's appearance.
Okay.
It looks a bit like that with glasses and scrolls.
I can actually open it on D&D Beyond, and I'll do that now. There we go.
Fab. Yeah.
Oh, I was not expecting it to look like a fox.
Yeah, a fox / wolf. Yeah, big long ears, almost like a rat boy. Yeah, they. Let me tell you, the home game we're playing. It's been very cross-making.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, we've only just managed to defeat it because it's a level 12, I think, but it's so. Again, we'll come into it at another point, but bloody intelligent villains are so frustrating as a player because you're like, no, they're more intelligent than ours. But you see all this. They go up to level 8 spells. They're mind blank.
Oh my gosh! Crap! Yes.
Monster.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they are pretty OP.
We've had Finger of Death happen to us. That was not fun.
Yeah.
It's floating disc. So yeah, it's
I have had my characters fight Yugoloth itself, and a Merenaloth. They've actually tried to fight a Merenaloth as well when they tried to go on the River Styx.
So it's a friendly one that uses alter self. That makes sense because it is quite a scary creature.
Yeah.
To a book of keeping. Have you heard of a book of keeping before?
No. Should we also do a bit of Google of that? Let's have a look at the
having a
Book of Keeping.
I got Blood of Keeping that came up.
Yeah, I've got Blood of Keeping. Nope, it's not. Oh, here we go. Yugoloth is permanently destroyed. Its name vanishes from every book of keeping. If Yugoloth is recreated by way of an unholy ritual, the books of keeping, when all 4 copies of the books of keeping disappear, as Modus and the Night Hags lost control of their Yugoloth creations. Each book of keeping still exists, drifting. This is in the. Here we are. Books of keeping. Each book of keeping still is drifting from plane to plane, where the brave and the foolish occasionally stumble upon them. A Yugoloth summoned using its true name, as inscribed in the Book of Keeping, is forced to serve its summon obediently. The Yugoloth hates being controlled in this manner and isn't shy about making its displeasure known. So that is.
So it's trying to find one of these books.
Can I say, Gehenna, Crawling City, I want to make that into a document because it sounds like the coolest bloody place. And no, I can't believe there is an adventure there. Just by the way, out there, people, if someone wants to make that, I haven't got time, but I want to play.
I was gonna say, spoilers, it's you.
Yeah, oh fuck, that's what I mean. Maybe that's what's going to happen in Dragon's Duel Season 3.
We did say that, what was it, when we did the future of D&D, there was like, oh, well, there'll be more adventures coming soon in like some sort of compendium, so hey, folks, let's do a Gehenna. I would love Gehenna. The fact that it's all on 45 degrees, like, what the heck? It already starts great. Mental. It's such a great place. Yeah. Great. So that's it, is it? The whole thing. Yes. Well, here's the thing. We still haven't named the Domain of Delight. Oh, yes. So this is the thing. Yeah, so we've got, obviously, you've made your archface of the rainbow and shade, and then we have this amazing. I don't know if we ever defined how big it was. Yeah, what should we? I feel that it is pretty big. Yeah. Just to give that whole spectrum of, because I'd love to see like oceans without color, or the like a huge sort of like almost like desert. Brightly coloured, you know, that I quite like different versions of it. I quite like the idea that it's video gamey, so that we've gone with that route. So maybe it's an island,
like it's an island, but it's an island that's clearly you can see the other land not far away. So it's sort of just an island, but there's land all around it. But there's just so everywhere you look, there's ocean, but you can still see like sea that you can see for a while, and maybe it's like the flip reverse. When there's an island that's like that shape, and then you do the Stranger Things to get to the shade.
The
shadow.
Not the inside out.
Yeah.
What's it
The upside down. The upside down. The upside down.
out.
Yeah, the inside out. It's the same. Yeah.
I was close, but yes, the upside down. Yes.
Maybe that's it. Maybe, but I imagine there's like in a video game, it's got every single type of landscape you could imagine, so you can have play in it. Like it's a play area. Like you've got a little river, stream, and then you've got in like a wooded forest, but then you've got a desert, and then you've got a big tall mountain in the middle that's very icy and ice peaked, which is just a big icicle triangle and stuff like that.
I love that idea that if you had video game elements in it, so like Frogger getting across.
Oh yes, a road. Exactly.
Roads, rivers. Getting onto to lily pads and that. Yeah, it has to be like that. Like having that video game essence to it, and like jumping over things or jumping on things to like squash them to get power ups or anything like that.
Oh, I love this. Yes, 100%. Yeah, cool.
But we still need a name for this.
We still need a name.
Two-tone island. Oh no! And this is where I'm sure we're gonna cut out hours.
Yes, exactly. Well, okay, I like. Because the other name I had for shade was mono.
Yeah.
But maybe it's monochrome, because it's mono and chrome.
Chrome.
So you're in chrome and you're in mono.
Yeah, I like that.
But it's the domain of monochrome.
Monochrome.
Or monochrome or something like that, but monochrome I kind of like.
I think monochrome. Yeah, I think monochrome. Let's keep it because it's simple.
I now want to call them mono and chrome as names now. I think that's better. But anyway, yes, no, monochrome.
These things we do, but I think because they did say again, and obviously in a later episode where we'll talk about Fizzbands, they talk about making stuff that's simple and easy to remember so that it doesn't get nicknamed by your players and undermined. So I think monochrome. But having that hyphen or having it
mono / chrome or mono - chrome.
Ooh, slash, yes, I like that.
/ chrome.
I love a good slash.
Good slash. Or a solidus for you nerds out there.
you typography nerds, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's not... Anyway, look at that. We've
done it.
We've done it. We've done our own domain of delight and an archfey. I love it. I think everything about it is cool. There's lots of stuff there. Yeah. In terms of story hooks and just interesting things, and I think it's going to delight your players anyway. Because obviously, they might only visit one part of it. Maybe they'll visit all of it, and then maybe. I like that idea. Maybe there is something between the two sides of the archfey that they have to be brought back together for some reason or whatever. So you've got lots of other little mysteries there which we don't have to fill in.
Exactly.
And the players can fill in as well. But thank you so much, Hamilton. This has been an absolute.
Thank you. I totally agree. The only thing I want to say, and I'm going to say it, and we can cut this if you say bugger off, Hamilton. You're an arsehole. Which. Is should we put this on the DM's book on the DM's Guild?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we make? I want to do it. Oh, I haven't got any time.
Yes,
fuck, I'll try and do
it.
We'll try and make it. We'll try and make a little document for it that you can get on there. Again.
Yeah, I think just 1,000% anything we make should go up there just for interest. People have a look, see what you think. And
I'll tidy up their stat block, and then we'll
change the various names.
Change Iggly Witch out of it, and I'll put them in, and we can put a little bit of flavor text from this
about
monochrome.
I'll have a go at bashing something out because I appreciate you do all the work on that, so I can have a quick go of that. So
text. If you can do more of the text, and I can do more of the graphics, then then we're
I will have a look at that. So
Go team!
go team, yeah. But yes, that can definitely. I'm 1,000%. Let's get that out there. Again,
Yes.
go. We were Domain of Delight monochrome.
Yes.
It will be out on the DM's Guild
At some point.
at some point. But yes, I love it. Oh, but brilliant. So we'll sign off, or we'll end up with Hamilton.
Yeah.
What are you up to? What life treating you like?
Whoa, bloody hell. There is
Let's
actually
go.
lots going on. So,
Yeah.
Dragon's Duel Season 3 is pretty much finalised. Ideas are finalised. By the time this goes out, we will have more knowledge than I do now. But it's very exciting. We've got some very cool plans. There's going to be a lot of content potentially on our stream. From having a break, we are coming back big time. And the only other thing is that the network might be changing name, and it might have changed name by the time this comes out.
It's always the way. Can you reveal what the network name is? Or is that still...
Yes, I can. Yes, so if you might know, because it has it up in the corner, but we're going to be, because we've got the DM's Book Club here, we've also got the Brain Adventures people doing We Are Not Heroes, and then obviously Dragon's Duel's coming back, and we've got other fun things. It felt a bit like they're all existing under the name Dragon's Duel doesn't feel right. We want them to all feel at home here, so we're going to be called the Roleplay Factory. The Roleplay Factory, yeah. And there'll be, it's just because it then makes everyone feel at home, and anyone else who wants other things that might come on board as well at the time. So that's it, really. So that's what it is. Dragon's Duel is still called Dragon's Duel, but that's the game show and all the stuff that happens with that. And then Roleplay Factory is the overarching thing.
That's fab. So does that mean... I guess I'm now going to put you on the spot. Does that mean we're changing links and Twitch stuff, or is it all still on Dragon's Duel?
So I'm going to try and keep the Twitter, and the Twitch will still stay at Dragons_Duel for the time being, and the Twitters will stay at Dragons Duel, and then I'm going to slowly do a month over change, and it will change then. So yeah. So if you're following, you're just following, and it might change name to the Roleplay Factory, but the links will be the same because
no, you don't have to do anything if you've already subscribed. That's
exactly. So,
you just I'm sure there'll be a massive signal boost going, hey, we're now here. And
that's
like
it.
So
exactly.
You won't miss out. That's awesome.
And we'll keep the old names in titles, so if you search for us, you'll still find us in titles and stuff for a while. Yeah.
No, sounds good.
That's good. Good question. What about yourself, Fiona? What are you doing?
Me? Good question.
You just did something. You just did something.
I did do something. So I'll start off by saying my name is Fiona. We all know that by now. I run the What Am I Rolling podcast, which is a twice-monthly RPG one-shot podcast. As always, it's going really well. It's going very well. As of recording this, which is in the past for those people watching now, but for me, in the present, after about... when they were doing it maybe 2 hours ago, I was on the Most podcast, which is a Rooster Teeth podcast where the hosts Andrew and Drew asked their guests the most questions. This was sort of a prid quo no, I can't say that word.
Prid quo pro.
There you go. Because they kindly came onto my podcast when we did Jim Henson's Labyrinth back in August this year. And they kindly asked me to come on and go onto their podcast. So that was a very interesting 2 hours where I was like, because I wasn't prepared. But it was very good and very fun, and that will be out on the Most, not only on Rooster Teeth, their sort of channels and stuff where you can rewatch those sort of things, which is insane, but also you can listen back to it because they're now in podcast form. So
how many subscribers do they have?
I don't know.
Is it millions?
No. No, but it's super fun, and if you certainly I grew up watching Rooster Teeth, and so listening back and hearing people like Gus and the others, I do know them. I just can't bring them to my head.
It's just exactly.
Too many to name drop, but yes, I was on that and I was very grateful, so that was lovely. Other things, I've been doing some other RPG streams on and off. I've recently played in the game of Alien RPG, which is done by Free League. That's super fun. Oh god, I love it. I actually, whilst I was doing other things today, which we'll mention on the next podcast, I did buy the Alien RPG core book as well. It's nice, meaty and thick because
look at that.
It's a very good system.
Is it?
Oh, again, no real spoilers, but if you're playing the Alien, at the beginning of each turn you roll a d6 to determine what it does, so you don't need to think about anything as a GM, because it's just dictated by the dice. If you roll a 6, it bites off an adventurer's head, and there's no appeal. And I'm just like, yes, sounds amazing.
That sounds actually quite fun. I do like the Alien movies. As not a horror fan, I don't mind the Alien movies. I actually quite enjoy them.
I do feel that those ones are sort of like action sci-fi with horror elements in it.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, the Alien and Aliens, great films, really interesting films, and obviously we've got Sigourney Weaver in.
Who's fucking cool. Yeah.
Badass
Yeah.
featuring. But yes, I'm sure I'm doing lots of other things, but right now I can't really think of them. Because I'm just so good.
Being so amazing. That's it, basically. Basically, everyone at home, Fiona is amazing. She's doing amazing, and that's all you need to know, basically.
Yeah, but
so,
I could not do this show, obviously, without you, Hamilton, who puts up with me going, but what about this? And you're like, yes, and.
Yes.
So, yes, and. But yes, and well, we've come to the end of this podcast, and I'm sure we'll be here next week. The title card will go up and say this, and I know vaguely what we're doing, because we might be recording it next, but shh.
Well, can we say what we're doing? Can we say what we're doing?
Yeah, I guess because we do know what it is.
We do know what it is. It's you gone. It's Fizz Buzz! Sorry, it's just because I remember.
It's Fizz
Buzz! We have it. Yeah, there's a book. There's a book. You would have also seen when I searched something, I had Fizz bands open on D&D Beyond when I was Googling for a Yugoloth.
Awkward, but yes, we'll be talking about our first impressions of Fizz bands. Finally. So, looking forward to that. But
awesome.
Until next time, friends, we'll see you on the flip. I guess that's how
see you on the flip. All right, we're leaving it at that one. I'm just going now. All right, bye. Bye. See you on the flip.